How about that? Is that better? I forgot to take my mute off, so I was chatting away. I forgot where I put my horse. What's that? What are you? Can you hear me now? Just let me know if you can. I was chatting away and saying lots of hilarious things. Right, I think this is my horse. Oh, fed up with the walls. So, well, let me know if my audio's alright now. Otherwise, I will have a fiddle and turn it up or something. It should be okay because I haven't messed with the settings. A mortal horse? So does this horse die? Because that's what I'm really worried about is if I ride it into like the water or something, then it might die. Right, where am I going? Go up there? I think so. Oh, let me have a read. What is it? All horses can die, even the immortal horse. But the horse levels up with you. Ah! There are ways to fix it. So what? Will I just stumble across how to get this? It's a pretty horse with red eyes. Oh, okay. Right. Oh. Let me have a look. What's going on in it? Hello? Hello? Oh, well, oh no! He looks a bit big. Oh god. Maybe I shouldn't have arrived here. Will he talk to me? Is he baddie? I think he might be a baddie. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, he killed me! He killed me! So, note to self, don't beat up giants. I'll have a look in a minute. I think I'm sort of vaguely on the way. Oh no, I'm back here. This is where I got stuck. Let me bring the map up. I'm going here to Stolstein. So right, I've done that. So let's travel there. And I promise I won't attack any more giants. Is it worth doing? Oh, why am I crouching? Is it worth doing it now rather than, or should I level up a bit first? They don't like strangers. I think you're a little. This is what's really frustrating with the chat is it's a little bit behind. So I think, let me just look at my. Oh, I've still got a way to go. What's the mill? I've done that. I think I might have to go around here actually. Lost knife. Might have to go back. Looks like that's the way. Well, yeah, but I did try and get you on Discord and I sent you an invite. But you've not accepted it, so. Right, let me just check the map again. I get so confused which way I'm supposed to be going. So, oh, I've been there. Okay. Have I been there? Have I been there? Yes. Right, let's fast travel that. Okay, the sooner the better. Yeah, I guess there's it. I'm not used to streaming yet, so all this is really new to me. But yeah, if you, I'll stay here. I'm not going to move. And if you tell me where I've got to go, then we can start that off. Is it near here? I'll just sit and drink my drink. It must be very annoying for you to type all the time as well, especially if you're on your phone. It's a cave. Detected? What's detected me? You sent me a message. Oh, hang on. Let me just double check then. Stand by. I need to get Discord up. Sorry if the game's gone off the screen. Oh yes, you did. Let me see if I can ring you. Might be easier. Are you on the actual channel? No, you're not. I'm ringing you now. You probably can't hear that, but I'm ringing you.
Hello.
Hello! Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, now, I don't know whether you can see what's going on the screen, but is this cave worth going into?
Oh, hold on, I accidentally just backed into the screen.
Your voice will come out on the stream, by the way. So if you don't
Sorry.
want it to come out on the stream, then hang up.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I was just turning the volume of the media volume down.
Yeah, you need to fiddle with the settings. You do that. I'm just gonna stealthy into this cave. I don't know what I'm doing, but...
Huh. What on? Sorry, I'm also adjusting the picture quality because when I joined this call, it lowered my video quality pretty low. Actually, hold on. Let me have signature in my 5G network.
Oh, there's loads of enemies in here. I'm running. Oh, not that bad. I killed a spider.
Sorry, my phone's being a pain.
That's alright. I'm just killing spiders. It's fine.
Here we go. What dungeon are you in right now?
I've-
And there will be a bit of a delay
know.
on the stream.
Oh god. I want to run away.
These spiders are pretty generally easy. If you use your flame spells, they're very weak to fire.
I don't even know how to use flame spells.
It
Have I
should
even
be
got
one
them?
of the first spells that you've been given. You're given a handful of spells to start with in the game when you're ready to start the game. And the more you use your skills, the more they level up. So the more you use one-armed or one-handed weapons, the better you'll become with them.
So magic. Is it one of these here? Probably shouts, powers. I've got battle cry. Oh, it might be distraction. Flames.
It's probably like a good 30 seconds or so behind in the stream.
Yeah.
It is in the.
Probably is. Where are you from, by the way? Yo, you sound American, but...
Yeah, from Michigan.
Ah, Michigan. I don't think there's much else in this cave, to be honest. I shouldn't have come in this cave. I'm gonna get lost.
I don't remember where you're at the moment.
I might go out actually because I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole otherwise. So I'm gonna run out of the cave while I remember the way out.
You do have a localized map as well that'll show different layers of where you're at.
So I'm in Kronvanger Cave.
I'll see it in a second when you open your menu.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait for the stream.
Yeah, it's so annoying there's a delay, but I kind of get why there is one.
Yeah, people did dumb stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook Live and stuff.
Right, I'm going out the entrance now. But it is easier to have you on the chat if you don't. So I'm happy that you've arrived and we found a way to communicate.
Yeah. They're Oh, I'm trying to keep your volume down. Sorry, I walked in my room.
I can hear myself.
Get some stuff. I'm trying to multitask, just helping you out, but also trying to look at some stuff real quick. But
That's alright.
Um,
I'll just get myself into trouble and then scream, and then you'll get.
some dungeons that you go into, if you have not activated a quest first, they will look a certain way, and then sometimes during that specific quest they'll look one way, and I don't know, certain dungeons can change and morph, and the more you play the game, the more you'll notice certain areas of dungeon that you'll realize that, I don't know, like it'll look like a stone wall, but you'll kind of like get an idea of the copy and pasting that they kind of done making the game.
That's amazing.
So you'll be able to like know if you've never been in a place and it looks like you have a wall, you could potentially open up like old hidden passageways and stuff. You'll turn levers and stuff.
I don't know whether I'm going to try and kill this thing. I'm just being attacked by something. It looks like a big... It's a saber cat! It's trying to kill my horse!
Yeah, it will kill your horse before it kills you. So usually with most horses, it's best to dismount before you engage in combat.
I got it.
And your horse can choose to defend you or choose to run away.
I got it. I killed him. Luckily the horse ran away. What's this?
Alright, here's the title.
Fishing map. Okay. Just picked up a fishing map.
There is some hidden stuff under the bed in this little shack.
What I find really frustrating is the looting. You have to get it in a certain angle. Oh, sleep.
If you go into first person, it'll be a lot easier to loot stuff on the table.
Take hide boots. Don't really want the boots.
But I'm pretty sure you should be able to find a handful of things hidden around the shack. Like some of the developers can hide things like in front of little spoons when they put things in. But then there's also like certain items like keys. They're really hard to notice. They're really small, and so you usually don't notice them. And sometimes they can accidentally be moved around the environment by other things, whether it's just glitchy physics or like something actually like a combat scenario or something that moves junk around. Because I've spent a few minutes looking for a quest item that's really small, like having to dig around a dark cave and look for it.
I'm picking up loads of books. I don't know what these are. Thief of Virtue.
Any books that have a higher value than 5 have a likelihood of improving your skill points when you read them.
Oh, okay.
Books like spell tomes, you can only read them once, but once you read them, you learn the spell that it teaches you. But for the most part, I just collect any unique book. There's a little under 400 unique books in the game. Some of them are kind of like short stories, and some of them go on for 30 pages or so. But some of the skill books, like another weird thing I do is I collect the skill books that, like the little books you can read that will improve your skill stats. And I'll organize them and put them on bookshelves because you can, depending on how big the bookshelf is, you can put books on it. And there's only a limited number you can store on the bookshelf, like visually, but they all move around and interact with each other and stuff. I'm empty.
It's just running out of lockpicks. I'm trying to pick a lock.
You'll eventually get to the point where you'll have so many lockpicks it won't really matter. You'll just accumulate them over time, picking them up from looting stuff and finding them in the environment. And they're only 1 gold a piece, no matter what your level is. So they're still, I mean, they're not like cheap, but they're still decently cheap. And there's a handful of things you can do to improve your lockpicking skill quickly and easily.
There's so much to do in this game. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. I myself have probably put close to like 3,000 or 4,000 hours into that game over the last like 11 years.
Wow. And yeah, I was speaking to somebody else, and they were saying that like literally you can just play it for years or months and then still find new stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I played for the first time in a couple years, just a couple months ago, and was playing around with some mods that let me fly around and stuff because I just wanted to explore the map and like have free range of things and be able to check out things that I haven't seen before. And I actually discovered a portion of the map this small little section
Wow.
in the outdoor area. So it wasn't a marked location, and it wasn't an interior that you had to load into, or a cave or a dungeon. But it was just really interesting because I'd come across this and this little dude and like a little like unmarked side quest that I had never even seen before. And it kind of like, I don't know, it was very entertaining to have been playing that game pretty consistently for 10 years and then all of a sudden come across something I'd never even seen or heard of before.
I guess they just kept adding to it over the years. You know.
Yeah, and they also, when they started to develop the game, they had pretty substantially boosted their roster for how many people they had on their team.
Wow.
And a lot of people got to go off in groups and work on like little projects for themselves. So you can kind of see it when you go into different areas, environments. You can see where like a small group of people, just with the objects in the room and the way the room itself is and stuff like that, can tell you a whole story. Like there's a murder mystery that you can solve that's part of an actual quest. But there's other stuff like that. There's actually one mystery that had been unsolved up until a couple months ago.
Wow.
But just like little things the developers leave here and there, little Easter eggs, little like notes and messages and stuff, and like things that people have to decipher. Like I don't know if you know, but the language that the dragons speak in Skyrim was developed specifically for the Elder Scrolls series. And there was one guy who was leading of the development team on it, but he had a small group, I think like 5 or 6 guys, and over the course of like 2 or 3 years, and I love you too, and be safe. Let me know if you want me to come up there. All right. I know. Sorry, I was saying bye to my mom. She's going to work.
Oh. Okay.
But I don't know. It's just kind of nifty because they had wanted to develop a language that can be translated into the majority of every language on Earth, so they can make subtitles and all that good fun junk. But they also wanted it to sound phonetically pleasing, and they wanted things to sound like they would rhyme. They wanted it to be a majestic language of the dragons and create something that was really unique. I don't know, like you can check some stuff out online about it. It's kind of like really nifty because even like I guess you can call it like the intro song, because it's not really a theme song for Skyrim, but the entire chorus and everything, it had to kind of like flow really good together. It's just interesting to think that they created an entire language out of like nothing just for our game. And it's not only a spoken language, but it's a written language.
Yeah.
And it's able to be translated amongst other languages really easily. It's kind of nifty. There's actually online translators, like websites that people have set up where you can go in and put in your host language and type in phrases and stuff. And it'll give you descriptions of like how vast the grammar and this and that is on the language. So like certain really large phrases or very specific things of certain languages like English and German and a handful of other languages have things that have trouble being translated when you use full phrases.
I'm just...
If you actually go... You can discover this location just by walking up to it, but turn back to your left. Well, I guess it's more like your 6 o'clock position. And go into the city of Windhelm.
Oh, I found I found the stables. I'll actually go in the city. Okay.
You can collect anything that's on a farm without getting in trouble. So, like, go take all that wheat, because you can use it for a potion that can make a lot of money really quickly and easily. It's wheat, giant snow, and I think creep cluster.
Here we go.
And even at a really low level, I mean, it's not like a super amazing potion, but it just has multiple effects on it. So it's worth usually around like 1,300 gold to start. So you can like walk in, sell a single potion, and like have enough gold to do stuff.
So you're probably not seeing this on screen yet, but I'm walking into the city now, and there's like a big door.
Before you walk into the city, I just want you to know that when you first walk in, I would say at like the 10 or 11 o'clock position, in that direction, there's going to be people talking. You can listen to their dialogue because you get a little understanding of what's going on in the city. But then you follow into that direction, and there's going to be like a little cemetery. Wait, no, I think this is the second time you come in. But anyways, there's the first 3 times you come into the city of Windhelm. There's special events that happen that you have to like witness and partake in to be able to do certain
Yeah,
things.
I see.
But
The name does ring a bell. I think I've been here.
this time you should be good to just walk in. You'll listen to a little bit of dialogue about some like racial disputes and stuff going on in the city.
No, I can
But
see. I can see the screen now of what you can see. I've just changed my view. Oh yeah, yeah.
after you listen to them, head to your right, and then there's going to be like a stairway just immediately to your left that goes up just a couple feet and goes to like a flat little walkway. It's almost like a walking along a castle wall, kind of. There'll be like an overpass that stretches over the walkway, probably 2/3 of the way down it. That's a house, and there's going to be a lady and a child standing outside of it talking about some stuff. You'll listen to them for a second, and then you'll pick the lock to get in the house. If you make a quick save before you pick the lock, you can find out where the sweet spot in the lock is, reload your quick save if you broke too many lock picks to feel comfortable continuing, and then go right exactly to that sweet spot, and it should let you pick that lock immediately after. But you basically just pick the lock in the house, and you listen to what the little boy has to say and talk to him and stuff, and that starts the Dark Brotherhood quest line. But after you've talked to him and do as he asks and stuff, the game doesn't inform you, but after you've completed his quest and you come back and tell him about it, you just have to find a bed to sleep in for the night, and that starts the Dark Brotherhood quest line.
I don't know.
I just know you were in the city and you were really close by, and figured you could start it.
Yeah, you're still behind, I think, a little bit. Just watching my stream now to see what bit I'm at. There's some woman talking to me.
New there. Most of the Nords living in Windhelm don't care.
There's actually quite a lot to do in this city.
He likes to get drunk and walk around the Grey Quarter yelling insults.
And most of it isn't really directly pointed out and shown to you. There's quite a bit of stuff in this game where they kind of hold your hand the whole way through, and then there's other stuff where...
Yeah, I've noticed that
write it down on a notepad and remember it for yourself for later.
Yeah, because you kind of... I don't know whether I'm going the right way. You said go up and then turn left or something. I'm going to wait here for a minute until you catch up. Yeah, I've noticed that obviously the storyline ones handhold you a bit, but everything else you're on your own.
I'm waiting for the stream to kind of catch up for a second to see where you're going.
Yeah, I'm obviously gone through. I'm now going through the door. It's really delayed. It's really delayed quite a bit.
It's because people have used live streaming to do awful things and ruined it for everybody. Open your map real quick. I think you're by the lodge house.
Yeah, I'm still standing by where I spoke to them.
Too bad Skyrim isn't, well, you're probably playing on PC.
Yeah, I'm on the PC, yeah.
I was going to say, because there's a handful of games on consoles you can share play, so you can either watch somebody completely live or, like, play the game with them.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot of games have implemented that feature. It's kind of nifty being able to like actually be live with somebody and not have to actually play with them. There is a mod for Skyrim to play multiplayer with people in Skyrim.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. So I can, on the map, I've opened the map and I can see a place called Nyrin's house. Nyriny?
You look for a place, like when as soon as you walk in the gates of the city, you'll scroll north a little ways, and it should be just on your right-hand side. There's a house called, I think it's Aventus Arantino's house. Pretty sure it's his name.
So, right.
It'll be somewhat close to the castle.
What's this house? Let me just see what this house is. This is Brunwolf Free Winter's house.
Alrighty, I'm just checking out where you're just standing by the front gates. If you're standing by the front gates, you take the staircase immediately to your right. You walk past that first house, and then turn left, and then go down that sidewalk. Yeah, you're at Brynwolf's house. It's just to the right of his house where you're facing at his door.
I just went and stood at the door, which is around here. Yeah, you've caught up a little bit now. So it says unlock Brynwolf 3 Winter's house.
Nope. If you're facing his door, the house you're looking for is like probably 40 paces to your right. There's gonna be a woman and a child standing there talking. You should be able to overhear their conversation.
Oh yeah. See them.
Then it's
Yeah.
what everyone is saying. That Aventus Aretino is doing the Black Sacrament, trying to summon the Dark Brotherhood.
My first time playing through, I played a really sneaky character just for the fact that I, over time, invested into perks that allowed me to do significant amounts of damage as long as I was hidden. And if I was able to attack somebody from behind, it would do a bunch more. And it just made it easier for me to kind of get a feel for the characters in the game and how they're going to be. Because it's not like some RPGs where, yes, the spiders may be weak to fire damage, but there's not specific types of weapon classes and stuff that you have to use. Like Horizon Zero Dawn's a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I've played that.
Yeah, and it's nifty because like it teaches you how to like be like open-ended in combat and be able to like learn how to do a bunch of different things. In Skyrim, you're kind of able to do the same thing, but what most people typically do is they tend to build a class into one direction and kind of be really strong and heavy in one place. Like you, by the time you're level 30, let's say you're really good with your heavy armor and your two-handed weapons, and so you can tank a bunch of damage and not get hurt, but you can walk in and one-shot everybody in the room. But if you come across an enemy that is really strong like you, it'll take longer to do damage to them. And if they have somebody like that in the room and they have a handful of mages and you're not resistant to magic, they can mow you down really fast before you're able to take out their top guy. But at the same time, you can also build a mage class where you can protect yourself with magic and you can deal damage with magic. And you can absorb incoming magic attacks to add to your magicka pool.
Oh, God.
And so you can become stronger during the fight than you were before the fight. But at the same time, if you got into a situation where somebody did something to you and you weren't able to use that magic or you ran out of magicka and you had to use weapons to defend yourself, you may be into a situation where you deal little to no damage because most enemies level scale with you and some of them will cap at certain points. But there's a handful of enemies in the game that don't stop leveling up until you stop leveling up, and you'll level. You can level cap, I think, well, it's technically infinite, but you can level cap and getting all the perks and everything. I think it was like 255. But there's, I think, 2 or 3 enemies in the game that will continue to scale with you completely, but there's also a handful that cap at 150. There's a few, like the Dwarven Centurions, cap at 60 or 65. So they will continue to be a difficult enemy every time you encounter them until you level past them, because some of those enemies that are also able to scale really high are always scaled slightly above you until you surpass them. So they'll always be a challenge. And then there's other things like the spiders. They'll literally get to the point where there's a certain set of armor you can wear when you've leveled up enough and have certain perks where you can walk past certain enemies and they'll die.
Very tired.
I just got into a house.
Oh, it sounds really weird, but pick up that wooden plate.
There's a wooden plate.
Yeah, there's either a wooden plate or a silver platter, like wooden plates, platters, plates.
I see. I've stopped picking them up because I ended up with loads of them.
It sounds kind of dumb, but the wooden plates are really small and they're light and they're easy to squeeze into a bunch of different places, like when you drop them in the open environment. And I could show you something really fun and dumb to do with them later that can sort of be an advantage, but at the same time just is also really fun to mess around with.
You could literally steal anything. There's like... I can't find a wooden plate at the moment, but when I do, I'll grab it. Oh, wait a minute, what's that?
Oh, you're fine. If you ever just see one or like a platter and you're able to take it without stealing it, just take it. and if you ever have too many of them, you can drop some. The
Yeah.
big oval-shaped silver platters and the wooden plates are the two best things to probably do it with. The wooden plate because it's the most versatile, and the big silver platter because it takes up the whole space of your body.
Sweet mother, send your child unto me for the sins of the unworthy.
And that sounds dumb, but I can show you how to walk through walls with plates.
I don't know what this boy's doing, but he seems to be worshipping something.
You'll have a conversation with him. He's going to ask you to do something, and you'll feel unsure about doing it until you get to the destination, and then you'll be reassured about what you're doing isn't so bad.
Okay, I'm talking to him now.
And then you came, an assassin for
There's not a lot of, like, I guess it's personal moral implications that you can put on yourself in the gameplay, but unlike certain games where you have an honor or karma system, where behaving will generally make the NPCs treat you as such. Like, there's certain things like, if you're a werewolf or a vampire, people will notice it, and depending on your progression of vampirism, like, it'll get to the point where you're not even allowed around other humans because they'll attack you on sight. And it's kind of obnoxious and frustrating, but if you're a werewolf, people will make comments that you smell like wet dog, or like it looks like there's spirit coming out of your ears and stuff. But there's no...
Please don't kill Constance the show.
If you side with the Imperials or the Stormcloaks and go further into their quest line, the other side will say negative things about you, or even some groups will attack you on sight kind of thing. But there's no, like, real moral implication for, like, I could go burn down the entire city of Dragon's Reach, kill all the guards and all the NPCs, and every character that is able to just respawn will respawn, and as long as I leave the city and come back and either spend my time in jail or pay off my bounty, life goes on like nothing happened and nobody really cares, and it's weird.
See, I would never have thought of just trying to get into these houses. But I guess you've probably been in every single one of these houses, haven't you, that are in Windhelm.
For the most part, some of them are just kind of like living quarters and stuff, so you don't feel like there's much of a reason to go in there, and sometimes you find little nifty things or like overhear dialogue that you normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's just cool to explore every like little place. There are hidden items in the game that are in the open environment that have absolutely nothing telling you to come into this area and look for it and find it. Like there's 2 forks in the entire game that can be used as weapons, and they only deal a damage of 1, and they can't be improved on a grindstone like other weapons. And one of them is found randomly on a random table, so you gotta like look up what table it's on if you want to be able to find it. And the other one is hidden on a mountainside next to a butternut, like literally in the snow next to a tree off the trail. Like, and so if you want this specific rare item, there's 2 places to find it. I don't know, like in Fallout 3, there's 5 blue pre-war books. The rest of them, I think, are green, or it might have been the other way around. But there's only so many of those to begin with. But it's kind of nifty thinking that like there's no real purpose behind an item, and some weirdo like me is going to collect it and hoard it in their video game because it's the only one like it. And even if it's useless, it's going to sit in the desk and look pretty.
I'm just looking at the map, so I've picked up that quest, and that's gonna take me to Riften. But
if you go to the stables just outside of the city, you can pay a small fee of gold to have a stable carry you there, and as long as you've been there before, you can fast travel there.
Oh, cool. I don't think I've been there, but I am quite close to the main.
What level are you?
Oh, I'm only 5.
What race are you?
I look human. I can't remember what race that is.
Open up your character menu, it should tell you. It'll be like kind of like with your magic. If you go into your magic and go to your abilities, there's only a handful of different abilities you can acquire in the game, and one of them is your born race ability. So it'll tell me with what it is, it'll give me an idea what class you are.
So what will that be under? I've got destruction, restoration, shouts, powers, and active. Which one do I need to go in?
It'll be either under active abilities or it'll be under powers.
Active effects. Resist frost. No, I'm a Nord. That's right.
Oh, alrighty. So you have a high likelihood of being able to do this one little part. It sounds dumb, but there is a trophy you can get for engaging in every type of speech encounter. One is persuasion attempts, one is intimidation, one is crap, I can't remember this. But anyways, one of the attempts is really easy to get, like along this quest line, because the first time you go into Riften, the guard outside is going to shake you down and say that there's a toll or a tax or whatever the hell he says. And you can either pay the money and let him shake you down because he's the guard, and it seems like, oh, maybe that's something they do when they enter this city. But at the same time, like, you also find out later that, no, he just shakes you down for money because you were a sucker and said yes to it. But you can also say the intimidation thing, it's something like, oh, I'm going to beat you up or something. I can't remember what it was. But you either intimidate him through showing how tough you are, or you persuade him through your speech. And depending on the race you are, and if you're a low level like you, depends on which one you should choose, because some of them might not pass. If you feel like it, you can drop a quick save and then just replay the dialogue again and again until you get the attempt, just for the sake of having it. But there's plenty of other points where you'll get across it. But I don't know, for you it'd probably be the intimidation one, because you're a Nord and he's going to be a Nord, and because you're a Nord, you are from the land of Skyrim and blah blah blah, and people are prideful and weird. But that, and the fact that you're a level 5 and you're a slightly tougher character, like if you were a Khajiit, like somebody who is more likely to be seen as a thief, or somebody who uses magic, or somebody who is a weaker person, the intimidation factor wouldn't work until you're a higher level and have improved certain skills to a certain point. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into how they calculate certain things in the game. Like, it's not super complicated like some of it is, but certain skill checks that, like, in Fallout 3, it was a roll of the dice. Like, even if I had 100% speech and I come up to this person and go to pass a speech check to use a certain line of dialogue, there's only a percentage of a chance that I'll get it, and that percentage is rolled on whether my luck is so high, my charisma is so high, and whether my speech skills is so high, and any other contributing factors. And Skyrim does similar stuff like that, but it doesn't show you any of those statistical odds. Because like in Fallout New Vegas, if it required me to have 75 speech to pass a skill check in a conversation, then as long as I had that number or higher, and I could use items to boost it above that to be able to get access to it, then I was able to do it. But with Skyrim, it calculates like if the city is run by Imperials or Stormcloaks, depending on what side you're on, and depending on like the race you are, and depending on who you're interacting with, because some people are more prejudiced than others, depending on what you've done for what kingdom and whatnot. Like, it's not like super crazy complicated with some of like the faction-based stuff.
It's like real life.
But yeah, but it's just kind of like one of those things that is the items you're wearing, the skills that you have, the race that you are, and your particular set of skills and stuff, and it all does a little bit of like calculations together and gives you I don't know, it's obnoxious because sometimes you have a character that's like a walking god and like could be able to silver tongue your way out of anything, and then you try to like persuade somebody to do something and they're just like, nope. Like, there's a handful of persuasion checks where you have to intimidate somebody.
Wow.
And no matter what character build you have, you can't intimidate them, so it's kind of like, it almost is like the whole purpose is to antagonize into a fight, and it's weird that it kind of makes it seem like you have options to do otherwise, but you don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love this game without a shadow of a doubt, and it is one of my favorite games, but at the same time, I can nitpick it and tear it apart.
Yeah.
About like all the stuff that's kind of wrong with it, or even like, I mean, the bugs and glitches can be funny and ridiculous and stuff.
Yeah, it's like any game, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well, there's a handful of glitches that were never patched by Bethesda. That's why people will play with the unofficial patch that literally changes nothing about the games, and they can't earn trophies and stuff while you play with mods.
No, exactly.
But they'll play with that because there's a handful of glitches in the game that can soft lock you and kind of ruin your game save. Like, when you drop a quick save, or if you make a save in general, be mindful about when you do it and where you do it.
Right.
And also try to be mindful that your quick saves are more easily corrupted. They're not as they're not a full data save like a regular hard save is.
Yeah.
But if you're like doing what you're doing now, traveling out in the open world, if you start coming up onto something that you see as like a particular situation, a good train of thought to have is drop a quick save before you are aggroed or fully engaged in things, because there are some times where you may not realize it, but you've played for 2-3 hours and collected a bunch of cool stuff and did a bunch of cool things, and then something kills you, or you fall off a cliff, or you wind up dead, and then when your last save loads and you've lost all that progress, it kind of sucks.
Well, what annoys me as well is if you die and then you end up like miles away from where you originally were and have to make your way all the way back again.
Yep. I played for 5 hours before, got a bunch of cool stuff, and stayed outside the entire time, so I never went to a different load cell. So it never auto-saved, and I never opened my menu, so it never auto-saved.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing. When you, just for the sake of, like, redundancy, if you go into your settings, you can go into your autosave settings and set the autosave to where when you open your menu to change your clothing items or to change your spells or to look at your perks and stuff, or even to open your map, it'll autosave. And you can set it to where I think it's every 10 or 15 minutes. And then it'll also autosave every time you go in and out of a load cell. So like if you go into a house, it'll autosave just before like anything loads into the cell. So like having, I think there's 4 or 5 different autosaves that it can have. And then on PC and on the newer generation consoles, you also have what's called an exit save. So when you exit the game through the menu, instead of just closing the game tab completely, it'll create a save right then and there. Just for the fact that when it was first released in the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, you could make a regular save that took a little bit. It wasn't nearly as quick as a quick save. But you could make a regular save, and then you had an autosave for when you would fast travel, and an autosave for when you would go into a new load zone. And let's say there's a cave by Riften. It's all the way along the eastern border of Skyrim, and it's probably, I would say, a quarter of the way to Windhelm, if you stuck along that eastern border, and you think it's no big deal, it's just a cave. You walk into the cave and there's tons of bears. Well, sometimes there's a chance for you to get fun little weird things that happen to characters when things are loaded, and you can take advantage of it. Like certain glitches can happen. Like certain states on characters are reset, certain things are reset, but certain things are also kept the same. So like I walk into the cave, I see a bunch of bears wandering about. They notice me, they come and attack me, but then I load back into the cave again because I died. And those bears are next to the entryway, and they immediately aggro me and kill me. And this will happen a couple times, and sometimes you'll load back in, and you'll wind up underground, and you'll get stuck. And all your auto saves will be in the cave, and your last hard save maybe hours ago kind of thing, because you've just been relying on auto saves to save your butt. And I put myself into particular situations where you have like a level 30, 40 character where it is literally stuck. You can do nothing with it. You can't play anymore. You can load the game and screw around with the menu and try to save yourself, but like the particular situation you're in is completely hopeless, and it's either because of an enemy, because you're stuck in the environment, or because you've been like the original way you start the Dark Brotherhood questline is by overhearing people talk about the kid trying to summon the Dark Brotherhood through the Black Sacrament. And so then it would give you a map marker to go check out the house in Windhelm. But instead I just walked you to the house in Windhelm.
Yeah.
Sometimes skipping pieces of certain things that trigger other events can be bad because the game developers didn't think that somebody would, have played the game for hours and hours and hours and been like, oh, because there's literally certain points in the quest line that you can skip hours of gameplay just by walking directly there and interacting with that character. And some things that normally would take you, if you played legitimately, probably 6-7 hours to get to. You can literally walk right up, grab this item, and then go and collect a handful of things now that you have this item, because now that you have it, the game says you can collect the special stuff from the special people. and go and grab this item and then skip right past a bunch of stuff. Like you can get the Elder Scroll for like the end game, like gameplay stuff, like right out the gate if you wanted to. And it is cool. It's nifty because it allows for like really open-ended gameplay and allows you to explore and do things, and like you can build a god of a character before anybody even knows you're the Dragonborn, before you ever even learn how to shout. And then you can continue the gameplay to the storyline to see how it plays out, just for role playing sake, you know, just kind of for funsies. But it's also pretty nifty to think that like there's a handful of things like that in this game where if you do it in a certain order, it'll get to a point where like I can't remember what exactly he had to do, but there's a point where this character named Desmond is going to walk along this wall, and there's a big huge stone carved mural, and he's going to depict some stuff, and I'm not going to spoil the story, but he's going to tell you some stuff. Well, there's some stuff you can do beforehand that can take place up to an hour before you have this encounter that you can do that will soft lock him and make it so when he goes to present this story, he walks up to the beginning of the wall, holds his torch up, looks at the wall, and then does nothing more. And it will be stuck there. And so that means you can't beat the final quest of Skyrim, like the main quest line. And it's not the final quest, but it's like it's a good portion of the way through the main story quest line, so you're invested into it, and you kind of want to like continue on. You've spent a little while doing this, and then all of a sudden he's just stuck there. You can try to kill him, you can try to do this, but because he's what do they call it? He's an essential NPC, so he can't die. He can only be stunned and knocked into like a kneeling position, and he can be aggroed and forced to attack you, but as soon as you down him, he'll just lose his aggro and then go back to his normal state, walk over to the wall and stand there with the torch up in the air looking at the wall like he's about to tell a story, and then just never does. And there's not a ton of it like that, but there's quite a handful of things in the game like that where you literally just kind of get stuck, and like you can still do other stuff in the game, but like kind of ruins it for you a little bit.
I've just started a quest. You'll be on it in a minute. You can see where I am now.
You're about to go to Solstheim?
Yeah, I think so.
You're pretty low level for this.
Oh, really?
You'll be allowed to leave the island. Okay. There are some DLCs. Once you start them, you can't stop them till they're finished.
Oh, God.
So, like, if you're under-leveled and underprepared, you will struggle almost the entire way.
Uh-oh. You got me worried now.
You can adjust your difficulty and turn it to very easy, and that'll make it so...
Yeah, it is. It's on quite a low one. Because I knew I would struggle with this to begin with, so that's why it's on
when you
low
feel comfortable in your character's skin, and you feel capable of taking on any challenge or any battle that comes your way, change it to legendary difficulty, and try to fight some animals.
I got an achievement just then. I don't know what I got an achievement for.
It's your first time visiting Solstheim.
Okay.
There's a handful of new creatures that you're going to encounter here that are kind of tough. They have certain weaknesses. You'll learn more about them. There's a few nifty quests. There's quite a handful of unique items. This will start the storyline with Mirak. If you've not done the stuff at the Graveyard, I don't think it will start completely. But there is quite a decent amount of stuff to do on this island, and a decent handful of quests. There's a group of people you're going to run into on this island that will look like they're hunters that are just dressed in fur. And they'll tell you to stay away from their camp. There is a quest that is linked to them. If you approach their camp and you're not a werewolf, they will attack you.
Oh, okay.
But if you're a werewolf, you'll be able to do the quest. And there's a handful of different ways you can become a werewolf in the game. There is, there's, between vampire and werewolf, there's really, like, to play as a vampire has certain benefits, but there's also quite a handful of drawbacks that make it so if you choose to be the vampire race, it would be in your best interest to be a vampire lord. And if you don't become a vampire lord early in your leveling, it will make it so your vampiric powers are very difficult to level up because they only level up every time you kill somebody, not how much damage you're dealing. If you're doing damage with swords or bows or even your spells, every point of damage gives you experience points. But when it comes to leveling up your werewolf perks or your vampire lord perks, it's every time you take a life. that allows you to level up. So when you're using very weak vampire powers that normally would kill somebody pretty quickly if they were like leveled up with you, that's one thing they didn't implement very well in the game. Like if you waited until you were like a level 20 before you got Shadowmere, you wouldn't want to take the horse anywhere because the horses everywhere else in the game level up with you to a certain point. But Shadowmere stays a level 1 until Shadowmere does enough combat and has done enough things to level Shadowmere up. So when you're level 20 and you get Shadowmere for the first time, every time you take her out, she dies. So like you have to wait a few days in game, go back to the place where they respawn and collect Shadowmere again, and it makes it where it's just a companion to just keep you company, really. And 9 times out of 10, when you see a combat situation, you tell them to wait.
So am I better off leaving here for now and leaving this one for a bit?
You can explore the island. The combat will be a little difficult. There'll be a handful of things that you can encounter and quests that you can pick up and do. There is a separate quest line that involves this that doesn't involve Murak that you can do that involves Hermaeus Mora, but those would probably be kind of difficult. Not too bad. If not trying to mean offense, but if you had a greater understanding of like the game's mechanics and this and that, and we're a little more prepared going into it.
Yeah. No, like, I've got to start. I've got to learn, isn't I? So.
The armor that guy is wearing is actually really awesome. Great armor.
It looks awesome, the armor.
It's kind of like almost like Battlestar Galactica, kind of.
Yeah.
It's made of like there's a creature on the island that you have to kill, and they have a chance of having a certain kind of shell and stuff in their inventory. You right from the get-go have the ability to make that armor. Certain armors you have to level up your smithing to a certain point to be able to unlock the ability to craft that armor. But you can upgrade all armor, but the higher your skill is and the more perks you have, the higher you can upgrade pieces of armor. So you can even take like leather armor and make it really good armor if your skill's high enough. But when you make a set of armor and your skills are low, it'll be made with lower stats than if you had higher stats and were able to make that same set of armor. So it's another bit of math to keep in mind, that everything kind of is intertwined with itself. So like if numbers seem kind of odd and you feel like you've done it before and it didn't turn out the same, it's probably because your character has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's certain things like that come with the DLC and stuff like that you can make right off the bat. You just have to be able to collect the items to get it. If you see any kind of ingredients at all, because they're so light and take up so little inventory space, just collect them in hordes in an absolute mass, because they're always useful for things, and even if you don't have a use for them, you could still just make random potions.
I figured that that's probably what I could do with them, and because I haven't worked out what you're supposed to mix with what to make helpful potions. Because obviously I've only just worked that one out and realised that.
If you open up your inventory and go to ingredients, and you look at the ingredients, there's 4 slots, and it'll say unknown or effective or something like that. If you eat the ingredient, you learn a single effect. If you make certain potions mixed with other similar ingredients or different ingredients, you'll learn different effects.
I didn't know that. I've just done it.
You basically have to interact with the ingredient every way possible.
Right.
To learn all of its effects, but some ingredients have effects that can be stacked with other ones that can make unbelievably amazing potions, and other potions can give you amazing immense power, but at the same time will poison you and make your character very weak to certain things. So like learning like just because both things have restore magicka effect on them doesn't mean that like mixing them both together will give you that effect and just only that effect, because certain ingredients have a poisonous effect to them, even though they have beneficial effects. So mixing them with one thing may give them a dual-ended effect where it's both negative and positive, and then mixing them with something else may give them just positive, or you may be able to make really potent poisons with them.
Right. See, this, it doesn't... the game doesn't explain this to you. You just kind of have to discover that all by yourself.
Yeah, kind of in a way, but it explains it through. What is it? What's the word I'm thinking of? Not deposition. Oh my goodness. It's not narration. It's when they. Kind of like when you first start a movie and the narrator is explaining the set and the setting and the scene, and like, good lord, I can't think of the word. But anyways, they just rely on the world and the environment, books you pick up, and characters you interact with to slowly teach you about stuff.
Yeah.
That way it feels as like organic and authentic as possible.
Right.
But the only drawback to that is I literally had probably made like 7 or 8 different save files, played through the main quest line and a bunch of other side quests, and probably put close to 100 hours into the game before I really started to understand alchemy. Like, other things are kind of straightforward, but alchemy, it doesn't explain a ton on. And that's partly in the fact that, like, they also didn't implement it as well as they did in the previous games, because they kind of toned down some features, so it didn't seem like so unbelievably powerful, even though it still is if you use it the right way. And how they did that is, I don't know, they just simplified things, and they expect people who were into it beforehand to like continue on, but like they didn't want to think about people that were completely new to the RPG genre. And I don't know, like The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt is a really good game, and there's
I've not played that. I do want to try that.
There's a lot of different ways you can build a character and be really efficient, really effective, and really good with your character. And then there's also certain things like certain enemies require you to use certain potions and things like that. Like, you can honestly build a character that can brute force your way through the whole game and just swing your sword real hard and kill enemies. Certain enemies will be dispatched in a single hit, and other ones will take quite a lot of combat, but you'll get really good at being able to dodge and parry and be offensive but defensive at the same time with active combat. But at the same time, like, I've played through the majority of the storyline in that game playing as a character like that and been like, my god, this game is unbelievably hard. I don't know how people can play on Death March. And anytime I would try, I wouldn't, like, unless I could completely avoid being hit the entire time and always make good hits and good counters, playing on Death March was impossible against even like anything more than just things that were my level. But at the same time, that also pushed me to learn more about the alchemy and more about like different spells and stuff and blade oils and things. And the only thing I find is obnoxious is like some of the ingredients are pretty uncommon and rare, but there are also some ingredients you only find them in certain places of the world unless you're purchasing them. And because you're a Witcher, everybody's going to charge you an arm and a leg for simple stuff. And my most recent playthrough, I went through and said, when you first spawn into the world, it gives you access to this much of the map before you leave the area, kind of thing. Yeah. Explore every inch of it, collect every ingredient, and blah, blah. Because, like, as silly as it sounds, like, a lot of game developers, like, you're about to walk into an area where they have scripted combat, where certain enemies are going to be in blah, blah. Certain things, like, if you come into an area and it expects you to fight a bunch of enemies all at once, and they're low-level enemies, and you can kill them quickly, but they're almost guaranteed to do some kind of damage to you, even at low difficulties. There's always plants in the area that can be used to make health potions. If you're going to be in an area where there's a scripted event where there's a creature that poisons you, like in the caves where there's the gas that poisons you and you choke on it, but it's also flammable. You can clear it away for a moment by using your flame spells, like your Igni. Yeah. But the problem is the fact that the gas comes back really quickly in certain areas. You can cheese it by just using your Igni and like get to the area real quick, but then other areas where they're so vast and open where you wouldn't be able to make it through. So you have to craft a potion, and somebody teaches you about the potion, and it's one of those things that's kind of like it's given to you right from the beginning of the game kind of thing, and you never think about it because you never find the ingredients for it, but the ingredients are only found in those areas where there's that toxic gas. So you literally have to make the potion on site kind of thing. And it's useful, but it's also obnoxious because sometimes you'll find yourself wandering around this big open area looking for these ingredients to fight this specific monster, and there's nothing around that is useful.
Really
like the wraiths, the ghosts that you fight. A wraith is like the low-level wraiths, like the typical ones. They're still pretty difficult, and you have to use your Yarden sign, which is like you put a magic trap on the ground. It slows them down and does damage to them, and it weakens them. So you have to learn to level that up a little bit if you're going to be... Like, it sounds silly, but like you literally will avoid certain low-level tasks because your character doesn't have the abilities to handle them. And you may conquer a quest that is locked at level 23, and so you finally get to level 23, and then you could do this quest. You could choose to do it beforehand, but you stand little to no hope of surviving, kind of thing. Like, I thought I'd get away with doing that sometimes. Like, it was one of the main quest lines, and I thought I would get through it early, and the game kind of slapped me on the top of the head and said, "Whoa, we're not going to let you bum rush through the story real fast. You need to slow yourself down and enjoy it." And it threw a couple of monsters at me that I had never fought before, and I didn't have any kind of blade oils. I didn't know any spells that would work against them really well, and so I had to go through and read the bestiary, which is like this big, huge, like... It's just a huge category of different beasts and all this, that, and that you'll fight, and it tells you their weaknesses and their strengths and, like, what environments they'll be found in. And so, like, I found myself reading more in that game than I did spending time in combat, just learning about my enemies and stuff. But it was really cool because after what felt like a bunch of homework, I was able to go through and come into an area and equip certain things and do certain things to my character, like drinking certain potions or certain like tonics and stuff will increase your toxicity level, and without certain perks, as like your base Geralt from level 1 kind of thing, if you drink too many potions and your toxicity level goes above a certain amount, certain things can kill you outright, but other things will continuously do damage to your health, or just drastically lower the amount of total health that you have at the moment, depending on what kind of toxins you're consuming. But at the same time, with a certain build that is set towards alchemy, and you're a witcher who has mutated and developed yourself in a way where you can handle those toxins, when you reach that high toxin level, instead of it causing damage to you, it makes you stronger and faster and more invulnerable to damage. And so it's kind of nifty that you can use something that normally would kill you to make you stronger and better. I don't know, there's tons of ways you can play the game, and it's really complicated, and honestly,
it is, totally, yeah.
The game guide on it is a couple hundred pages. Like,
yeah.
I think it's like a little over 200 pages or something.
I think I might have to do some more research, perhaps, and do some more reading.
I honestly would watch a couple of videos on different builds that people make that kind of stretch into one class more than the rest, kind of thing, and see the drastic different builds that people make that are leaned real heavy into one thing. Like some people make something where they hardly ever use their swords, but they defend themselves with magic and keep themselves healed and strong with potions, and so they're leveled really high into alchemy kind of thing, or like somebody who is leveled specifically into magic. And it's nifty because it shows you the possibilities if you were to focus your character in a one directional path. But there also is things where you'll learn a lot reading all the different stuff in the game about stuff and be able to have a better understanding of it. But you'll see what it's capable of, so you'll like, because sometimes the description it gives you is a little vague, and you're not sure about spending that perk point into that. But you can also keep in mind there is one you can buy and one you can find in the open world, and I think one you're given. But I'm almost for certain there's only 2 of them possible in the whole game. But it's a potion you drink that completely resets all your stats. So I'm a level 35 or I'm a level 25. It'll allow me to take and redistribute all my perk points completely. So it doesn't reset your levels. It gives you all those perk points back and keeps you the same level, and then you just redistribute them. And so you can have played up and built like a level 60 character and put like 80, 90 hours into it and been like, okay, I don't really care for how he plays. And then you could just re-roll all your stuff and rebuild it in a way you want. So like you'll have the knowledge of the gameplay and have reading stuff and looking stuff up, and over that time have become a better player, then you can choose to re-roll your character.
So yeah, then maybe everyone starts off like quite bad, and then as you get used to it, then you can.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's got a bit of a learning curve to it, because there's a lot to learn up front, and some of it is very detrimental to learn. Like on Skyrim, you can honestly turn just about anybody loose, and it may seem a little difficult at first, but within a couple hours time, it becomes easier and easier, and it only gets easier as time goes on.
Yeah.
But there's certain things like with The Witcher where you'll feel like a really good character, and you're able to take on almost anything that you encounter, and you don't run away from any kind of fights. But then you get yourself into a situation where you're kind of stuck. Like my first playthrough, I made it to like a level, I think it was like 27 or 28. And had played a lot of side quests and stuff like this, and had built up Geralt and made him decently strong and thought I was doing really well. But then I went to rush through some of the storyline really quick, and I was ill-prepared for a certain battle with the Wild Hunt, and I was in a cave, and you drop down this ledge, and you can't climb back up it, and the only way to get out is to continue the quest and to beat the quest. And the only problem is the fact that I was not strong enough to beat the guy in combat, and I was not good enough at the combat in the game at that time because I'd built a character that could take a hit and give a hit. And so I didn't need to worry about dodging and parrying and counterattacking as best I could, because, if they hit me, no big deal. I'll just hit them a couple more times and they'll be dead before I am. And when I got into that cave and he had a couple of little minions and worked a little magic here and there, it made me realize really quickly that, like, even on the easiest difficulty, it's still too far out of my skill set, and my character is not leveled up enough to where I can just kind of like, I don't know, like the big meatheads in the gym that think they're all that because, they got a big fat meat stick and they can throw it around wherever they want and anybody can say yes to it. It's like, it doesn't really work that way. It's like, he's going to toss me around like a sack of potatoes, and like, even though my character's tough and can last a few minutes in battle, it's frustrating to spend 6-7 minutes or even longer sometimes. Like, I remember at one point in that fight, I finally gave up after spending multiple 20-minute sessions where I would tediously avoid every single hit and try to counter as best I could and keep fighting. And eventually it gets to the point where he'd dwindle my health down, and I wouldn't even able to bring him down past half health. And after struggling like that over the course of a couple days, it was like, I'm just going to make a new save, and it's not too far into it, and it's whatever. I don't know. I made my decisions, and I got a little cocky, and the game punished me for it.
But then it's a good feeling when you finally get that down, though.
Yeah, because when I came back to the fight again, I'd built my character differently, and I also spent time with weak enemies, like some of the weakest enemies in the game that could hardly do damage to me. I would spend time practicing, like, learning exactly when to do counterattacks or exactly when to dodge away from something, what directions were best to dodge in for certain attacks. And being able to, like, just kind of like, I don't know, it's a video game. It's got a set animation. Once it goes into an action, it starts doing something. And if you can recognize that animation as soon as it starts to play and then do a counter, like, you can either jump out of the way or completely do a counterattack, and just having the timing down and being able to learn, like, what enemies' attacks were. Like, certain enemies will attack in certain ways, and certain enemies, like group attacking, other enemies will, like, surround you and only have them attack you one at a time, kind of thing. And so, just learning the combat system a little better, learning how to build a character a little better, when I came back around to it, I was able to, like, I don't know, I defeated him so quickly and easily that it almost, like, I was joyful, because I was like, wow, I really learned a lot more about how to run this game, and it shows, because I'm on normal difficulty. I wasn't on the easiest difficulty, and I was able to beat him like he was any other character. Like, sure, he was like a boss battle, but it, like, wasn't like the hardest thing in the world kind of thing. And it was also just a little disappointing, because I was like, I should have realized that sooner, instead of spending the time and stress and frustration just trying to, like, grind through that, and realizing that, like, if I'd have known what I know now, I would realize that I should have just started over sooner instead of frustrating myself.
Yeah. And I've just died, literally, so it's taking me back to the boat.
Oh, man. Yeah, I just saw that.
So now, everything that I discovered hasn't been discovered again now, so I have to do it all over again. I see what you mean, how frustrating that is. That is really frustrating.
Yep, that's why before I like do anything, or if I walk into a new area, like before I go into a dungeon or enter a house, I'll create a save, because you can walk into somebody's house thinking that it's okay to walk into because it doesn't say locked or anything, and then somebody will immediately try to like nail you for trespassing, and it's only like 5 gold or 15 gold at the most kind of thing. But at the same time, now you have the guards trying to like chase you down for a 5 gold bounty. Like I couldn't tell you how many times I've accidentally murdered a chicken and had to reload a save.
But that's literally what just happened now. I just went into a house and got killed by a load of skeletons. So. I don't know whether you've seen that bit yet. But you could just literally get lost in this world and just not do anything apart from exploring.
I do that when I get bored and I'm tired of quests, and like I'll go on like a little thing where sometimes I'll focus real hard on one quest line and get the whole quest line done in one little run.
Yeah.
Because if they're focused, they're not too difficult to do really quickly. But then there's other times where I'll select all my miscellaneous quests and all my main quests at the same time, so every marker is checked all at once. And I'll just wander through the world, and if I come across an objective, I'll do that objective, and then I just wander towards it. Like, I get to a place for an objective, and the guy talks to me for a second, and he gives me something. He's like, take this to another place, or go to this place to get this thing. Well, if I happen to run into another objective on the way there, I just complete that objective too.
Yeah.
But then I'll also go through periods where I'll unselect all my markers and won't have an active quest or anything, and then just wander through the world and explore every inch of thing. Because sometimes you'll find like a little abandoned shack with like a little diary in it, and it literally nothing in the entire world says a word about it, and it's never mentioned in anything. There's no marker on the map. There's no like anything, and you just learn a little bit of story, and you're entertained for 2-3 minutes inspecting a site and reading some stuff and kind of just piecing together a story of the last little bit of somebody's life, or like the last little bit that somebody lived there kind of thing.
I know I've heard that name, but it doesn't feel real.
You wandered not too far from earlier when you found that shack next to the river that was abandoned and kind of decrepit. Not too far from there, just north of that location on the river, there's another location where there's a small shack where a fisherman used to live.
All right.
And you can find him on his bed, crushed underneath a tree that had fallen off the cliff above his house on the river line and fallen into his house and crushed him and like all that good fun junk. And there's some decent loot and a treasure map, like the map you found earlier that didn't make absolutely any sense at all.
Exactly.
It's because you have to stand exactly where that perspective of the map is drawn at to understand the map. But then you also have to be a little insightful and think of it in a clever way, because they drew the map to where it's also a secret key, so it's not going to be blatantly obvious that's what it is. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to lie, you're probably just going to end up looking it up online, because there's been times where I've had treasure maps in my inventory and not put them in a container or something, like left them in my inventory, and would frequently get them out and look at them, continue to wander around, and some of them, by certain things that are drawn on it, like a landmark, you get a real quick idea of where it's at. But then when you realize that the angle and perspective of what it's drawn, there's a huge swath of area that you could cover, and that could only potentially be leading you to the next clue, not even just the treasure itself. And some of these treasures, after you've built like a pretty hefty character and you're pretty high in level and have tons of gold and loot and stuff, when you find the treasure and it's really minuscule, and you're like, man, I can't believe I just spent all the time doing that.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to cheat a little bit and Google stuff that I don't understand. I'm just going in lots of different houses now in the town rather than exploring too far.
There's a handful of clothing items that you should collect and try to find ones. Oh, that's another thing. Anytime you find an item that is enchanted and has an enchantment on it, even if it's kind of heavy, if like if you've not learned that enchantment,
No.
pick up the item. You can take it to an enchantment table, and you can disenchant it, and it destroys that item. But you learn that enchantment, and you can put it on anything at any point in time.
Right.
So if you see those, just pick them up and disenchant them. And if you've disenchanted it and already learned that enchantment, it won't let you disenchant an item with that same enchantment. So you can't just randomly destroy stuff by accident.
This is going to sound stupid, but I get really confused. Like when I pick up items, what I've found is that I've like discarded or sold the stuff that I'm wearing.
When you're wearing an item, it'll have a little marker next to that name of the item, showing that it's an equipped item.
Right.
There also is another marker that shows up in the inventory when it's like a little triangle, I'm pretty sure, but it is to tell you when that item is possibly better for you to wear than the current item that you are wearing.
Yeah. I saw that. Just
go with your head. Don't even bother with that. Like, sometimes it's correct. Like, I'm wearing a bunch of hide armor, and then I have a bunch of steel armor in my inventory. Yeah. The steel armor will have that little, like, triangle tick next to it, telling you, like, hey, this armor is probably better because your character would be better with it. But at the same time, it's not always exactly truthful and, like, accurate with stuff. Because you also have, like I said earlier, like, a bunch of other factors that get played into it and calculated with it. And so you can... Sure, that armor may be more functional because you have a higher skill set with, let's say, heavy armor than light armor. And it may be better skill-wise, but it still may not give you a statistical advantage. Like, putting that set of armor on may give you... See, there's a lot of complicated shit into the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of... There's a perk you can get where when you're wearing a piece of armor, it does not weigh anything. And there's another perk that you can get that when you're wearing a piece of heavy armor, it doesn't weigh anything. And then there's also things like if you have a full set of armor on, like all of it is steel armor, or all of it is orcish armor, or all of it's basically one class, like one faction, or like one unit of armor. Like you gotta have the boots, your chest plate, your gloves, your helmet, and all that, like the full set. And it'll give you a bonus damage reduction, or like the armor weighs less or something like that. I can't remember. There's 255 perks in the game.
Wow.
And that's just the perks that you can upgrade manually by giving yourself a perk point. There's a shitload of active effects that you can get. Also, keep in mind, when you get attacked by animals, you can pick up diseases that can negatively affect your character. They're pretty decently easily cured, but 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee you won't notice you have it. And when you realize you have it, and then you read the stats of how damaging it actually is, you'll be like, wow, I've been struggling without realizing it. Swimming upstream the whole time.
Wow. Well, I managed to, after wandering about, I managed to find this, was it Merrick?
You'll hear about him, but you won't meet him until you do a certain portion of the quest. He'll actually come to you.
Temple of Mirak. Here we go. It's on my map now. Oh,
There'll be a bunch of crazy people kind of like worshipping a site and trying to build a monolith.
Let me see.
There's a couple of them on the island.
Right, I must remember. I keep quick saving now. Because that's the mistake I was making before, not to quick save.
You can go into your, that way, because I get forgetful, you can go into your settings and change your settings so when you open your menu or you fast travel or go in and out of a load zone, it'll quick save for you.
Right. Let me see if I can find that.
Obviously.
Settings. I'll have to look for it later. I'm sure it's there.
It should be in your system setting.
The gameplay.
Yeah,
Is it under gameplay?
Yeah, the gameplay.
Save it. Oh, there we go. Save on travel. Oh, wait a minute. Save on travel. Save on rest.
Oh yeah, that's another one when you sleep.
I don't know whether that means it's on now. Save on character menu. I don't know what I'm doing now. Oh, there's a sensitivity as well.
Just talking with her and kind of like pacing around.
Pacing around. Oh, what's going on? Let me out. I think my game crashed now.
Oh. Sometimes when you sadly, because it's Skyrim, sometimes when you make a save or do certain things in the menu, it might lock up for a minute. And I play on game consoles, and there's been times where like
Let me just give it a minute.
I've sat and waited for more than 5 minutes and it finally went through, kind of thing. But
Did it really?
yeah, usually if you can hear music, most of the music tracks in the game aren't more than a couple minutes long.
Oh,
so
and it waits
usually,
for that, and then you can.
Yeah, if it plays another music track, it's 9 times out of 10 it'll unfreeze. But like if it stops playing music, then it's done. Or like if you hear certain sounds in the background, like an animal doing something, and it's repetitive again and again, it's definitely frozen.
I can still hear. I think I can still hear the music. That's happened a couple of times. Like the last time I streamed as well, it completely froze.
Unlike
It's really annoying.
little dog.
What time is it for you over there? It says
Right now it is 5:51.
okay, so it must be your dinner time soon. I don't even know if you call it dinner time. You probably call it something else.
I don't know. I tend to. My family's been kind of odd. Like we kind of like.
All
Well,
families are odd. All families are odd.
Yeah, it's true. We kind of eat like, depending on like when everybody's busy and what everybody's doing. But like sometimes we'll eat like 2 in the afternoon. Other times we'll eat dinner at like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Right, it's still not letting me do anything.
Yeah, it's probably locked up.
Yeah.
Yay! Hopefully it didn't do anything crazy with the save file, because you're messing with stuff that making saves. Your settings should be all right though.
That's so annoying. Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Okay.
There you go.
Let me bring it up properly. There we go. Did that work? I still can't move though. There. Oh, it's my controller. The controller's now not working.
Oh.
Okay. This is what happened, and then I have to unplug it and plug it back in, and then I can move again. It's Steam, because I'm playing it on Steam. I think it disconnects sometimes. Come on, move. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Why are you not working?
You gotta try reloading your save, it might work.
Well, it seems to be working. I think it's just my controller for some reason.
Oh.
I don't understand.
I love technology sometimes.
I know! It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But I think how long have I been? I think I'm probably going to finish anyway. And I hopefully I'll be able to work out once I've stopped streaming. I'll be able to work out how to save it.
Right.
So it'd probably be easier to. But thank you so much for your help, and it's so nice to speak to you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So it's some of it will sink in. Forgive me if I forget a lot of what you've just told me. But I'm going to do a lot of reading as well, to see if I can. But what I don't want to do is spoil stuff for me either. But I know that there's so much to this game that I will need to start doing some reading up on it and working out how to do stuff and things. But maybe next time maybe we can do the horse thing. Sounds cool. You know, you said there was an immortal horse, wasn't there?
Yeah. If you want, you can. Fandom has a wiki page for a bunch of different games, but if you just type in Skyrim wiki, like WIKI, you'll find their fandom page, and when you click on the page, it'll pop up, and depending on which page is pushed to you first through the search engine that you go through, you'll be able to pop up and identify the website pretty easily because it'll say fandom and it'll say wiki. But you can use the search bar and use keywords, or you can just scroll through some of the articles that are already popped up on it, because there's the land of Skyrim, but then there's also Skyrim the game, so there's Skyrim the Elder Scrolls 5. So that'd be the game, and then you can go in there like if I typed in, like, Jarl Balgruuf is the Jarl of Whiterun, and if I just typed, or even if I typed in like Dragon's Reach Skyrim wiki, it'll bring up the page, kind of like a Wikipedia page, but it's about Dragon's Reach, and it'll tell you any information about it, and it'll link other articles to other bits of information and stuff. Like, it's a lot like Wikipedia, and it is moderated by a handful of people that go through into it, but there's a lot of information that people have posted over time. Like, people can post comments, and the moderators will add them to the post if they're legitimized. Like, if there's certain bugs with certain missions or characters or items, or if there's a way to fix a bug, like, it'll have your bugs, and then it'll tell you how to fix the bug, and it'll tell you what console that bug is on, so if certain consoles do or don't have that bug, and how to fix it, or this or that. And then there's also, like, just any detailed information that you could really think of, like, just certain specific items. It'll tell you they're, like, if they spawn randomly generated in a container,